We are going to break down a video that has gone absolutely viral. It shows an incredibly chaotic ICE arrest just miles from the White House, and it raises some really serious questions about tactics, training, and public trust. Picture this. It's a Wednesday morning, rush hour. You know the scene. People are heading to work, dropping their kids off at school. It's a completely normal routine morning. We're in Hyattsville, Maryland, right at a busy intersection, only 7 miles from the White House, happening right in the backyard of the nation's capital. Suddenly, everything stops. Total gridlock. It's not a car accident, but federal agents are in the middle of a full-on brawl with a man right there in the road. The ordinary morning commute became a scene of absolute chaos. The video shows 2 ICE officers from their Enforcement and Removal Operations Unit, or ERO, wrestling with one guy on the asphalt. This wasn't quick. It went on for nearly 10 full minutes. The man was clearly resisting, all while cars were trying to swerve around them and people on the sidewalks were screaming. It was an incredibly dangerous and volatile situation for literally everyone there. The intensity was off the charts. You can hear horns blaring, people shouting, and right in the middle of it all, you hear an agent screaming at the man. The detainee, who gives his name as Mendoza, was yelling for help over and over, switching between English and Spanish. He was shouting things like, "I am American and I live in America." But all that chaos is one thing. What took this from a local incident and turned it into a viral video was a moment of critical failure involving one of the agent's weapons. During the struggle, an agent's pistol falls completely out of his belt as it was not holstered properly and clatters onto the pavement. The detainee appears to reach for it, or maybe just smacks it, sending the gun sliding across the ground. The agent, of course, dives to get it back, but in that split second, he makes a huge mistake. As he gets back up, he points the weapon directly toward the crowd of people who are filming from the sidewalk. This moment is the heart of the problem for anyone with any kind of firearms training. It is a massive red flag. The first, most basic rule is that you never ever point a weapon at something you don't intend to shoot. Aiming it at a crowd of civilians, even for a second, is a gigantic escalation. It actually gets worse. Analysts who looked closely at the video pointed out that you can see the agent's magazine lying separately on the ground. Without a magazine, a gun is basically a paperweight unless there happens to be a round already in the chamber. This brings up more questions. Did the agent even realize his weapon was compromised, and how did both his gun and his magazine get unsecured during a struggle? This really points to a potential failure in training or equipment. This whole incident with the gun set the stage for 2 completely different stories to emerge immediately. The crowd's reaction was immediate and not friendly. After that agent pointed the gun, the bystanders just erupted. You hear one man start taunting the agent, challenging him in the middle of the street, turning this into a public confrontation. The agent started yelling right back. When someone asked why the man was being arrested, an agent shouted, "Because he is a criminal." How about that? They then turned on the crowd, asking them if they wanted to take the detainee home, essentially accusing the bystanders of getting in the way. The escalation continued when another agent, this one in a balaclava, walked toward the onlookers and seemed to ask them, "Want to be next?" That adds a layer of direct intimidation on top of everything else. The struggle in the street finally came to an end when more ICE officers showed up. By the end, there were at least 6 officers on the scene. They finally shackled the man and put him into an unmarked Dodge minivan that had Florida license plates. This leads to a really crucial part, this deep disconnect. On one side, you have ICE officials saying their operations target violent criminals, the worst of the worst, and that they are facing extreme threats. To back up their perspective, the agency cited the claim that their officers are facing an 830% increase in violence directed at them and their families. The agency uses this number to paint a picture of a really high threat environment, which they say requires them to be on high alert. But on the other side, you have the community describing this terrifying, violent scene unfolding while families are just trying to take their kids to school. They talk about a feeling of being both indignant and completely powerless. The community's response was fast and organized. The photographer who filmed the whole thing immediately sent the footage to elected officials, including Senator Chris Van Hollen, trying to escalate the issue and push for an official investigation into the agent's tactics. Ultimately, what we are left with are these 2 narratives that are in total conflict. On one hand, you have clear documented operational failures caught on camera, the dropped gun pointing it at people, the verbal aggression. On the other hand, you have an agency talking about its vital public safety mission and the very real dangers that its officers face. That leaves us with the final question. When an event like this happens right out in the open, during a morning commute in a neighborhood, what is the long-term cost? What is the damage done to the public's trust in law enforcement as a whole? Please like and subscribe for more updates, and thanks for watching.